Welcome to the official Texas Music Chart podcast, brought to you in part by R. Watson Boots is making the best footwear for dancing, ranching, cowboying, or being on a podcast. Official Texas Music Chart, the Mega Chart, the official Texas Music Chart podcast, and the Tiny Office Sessions are all the reason officialtexasmusicchart.com is the new number one for Texas country music.
Well, hey guys, Brian here with the brand new OTMC podcast, and if you're just catching up with what we're doing, just keep in mind that an artist on the OTMC podcast and Tiny Office Sessions gets an entire week of promotion on all my social network channels. So Mondays is the OTMC podcast, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is when the Tiny Office Sessions hit various platforms. You can check all that out at officialtexasmusicchart.com, but without any further ado, in studio today, we got Ty Smith from Ty Smith and the Minor Offenses. You're going to have to tell me about the Minor Offenses here, because I'm guessing it's because you're so young.
Yeah, so we talked with our manager one time, and we're like, hey, it'd be really funny to call a band like the Minor Offenses, because I'm 15.
Sure.
And as a joke, it started out as a joke. Because our manager started calling, Ty's running around with some minor offenses, and then we were like, it kind of works. And before we knew it, we had a name change, and it was really weird. It was a weird scenario for us.
I gotcha. Well, 15, originally from currently from up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
But yet doing some pretty cool stuff in the Texas music scene. What's that? I mean, there's another 15-year-old that I follow and I've done a lot with, Peyton Riley.
Yeah, I know Peyton. Yeah.
But
she's been doing good, man.
It's kind of a wild trip when you're that young, going through a lot of this stuff.
It's definitely different. I've talked with Peyton multiple times actually about it, being so young in the industry, and she's been killing it lately too. We've been all over the country the last couple of months, and that's been very new to us. We've been all over Wisconsin. We're going to go hit Nebraska and Iowa this summer.
Yep.
We did Minnesota last summer, and it's really cool being able to go play somewhere besides Texas or besides Oklahoma, because I feel like some bands just get stuck here.
Well,
and it's unfortunate.
I don't know if they get stuck here. There's a unique thing that I see that goes on in Texas that a lot of people don't realize is actually going on, and it's very sustainable for an artist to make a living on the Texas regional circuit.
Everybody gets
and never go anywhere else. Yeah. It's really easy, and a lot of artists do it on purpose, and some artists that you can see that have done that on purpose are the Pat Greens, and then Josh Abbott kind of come back around and done it. Eli Young Band's just now coming back and doing it. You can see Midland has kind of moved back home, and they're starting to do just the Texas regional circuit. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You can kind of break artists down into, I think, 3 categories now. You got the honky tonk artists, right? Playing bars, and there's nothing wrong with that. Make a good living doing that. I got a lot of friends that make a living playing acoustic shows 5-6 days a week.
Yep.
And then you got kind of your Texas regional recording artists, and then you got your Nashville artists, right?
Yeah.
So, I whatever path you end up on, I wish you the best. They're all good paths. You know what I mean?
That's one thing that when we started, we sat down and said, hey, we can only play Texas. It's possible.
Yep.
You can drive in Texas for 1,000 miles and not leave Texas. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like, hey, we can do it here, and we can be great, and we can have a great fan base here. But I want to be able to go up to Wisconsin. I want to be able to go to California. I will be able to go to Oregon, and have shows and have people come to the shows. I want to have a fan base worldwide, and I feel like that's the best way to build a fan base. Just simply because it's better for you.
Absolutely.
You're not stuck in the same place all the time. You don't have to go play Texas. It opens a lot more doors, I feel like.
Yeah, that's good to hear from somebody that. 15. I look at you, I don't see 15. I'll be honest. I thought you were a little bit older. I never would have guessed you were 15, but it's cool that you kind of got this defined outlook on your career moving forward. You know what I mean? There's there's a lot of artists that I think you could link up with in the future that I think are doing similar things to what you're talking about doing. And heck, Jen, your promoter, is the promoter for some of them. You know what I mean? You look at the Cody Jinks of the world, and you look at the Creed Fishers of the world, and you also look at Aaron Watson and what he's doing. It's Cody. Yeah, I mean, heck, even Cody Johnson and the things he's doing. They're still independent artists. They have publishing deals, but they're still independent artists. You know what I mean? And they're absolutely killing it on kind of the out of Texas circuit. And
Right.
There's some great festivals that I think you could eventually get into, like the Gordy's Highway 30 up in Idaho.
Yeah, we went up there and did it last year. It was a fun time, man.
Opens a lot of doors. Did you play the Gordy's Highway 30 up there?
I won the competition for Gordy's Highway 30, and we got the phone call, and Gordy's like, man, nobody from Idaho has ever tried to win it before. And so they were very shocked to see somebody from, especially some 15-year-old kid from Tulsa, Oklahoma, out of all places, was like, hey, we'll be there. Put us down. And it was a great trip. We got to hang out with Tanner for a while.
Yep.
Usher, great friend of ours.
Amazing talent, isn't he?
It's incredible. Got to go out, and there's videos out there. I got to go out and play with Shane Smith up there at a Whiskey Riff after party.
Yep.
And it was a blast. I wouldn't have wanted it to go any other way than it did.
So being so young and kind of having this wild ride that you've had thus far, how long have you guys been how long have you been on the road now? How long have you been playing?
We've been on the road for about a year playing full time. That's
Okay.
about what we've been on.
So since you're about 14 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance, you think, to actually enjoy the ride? Or has it been a lot of just like zooming by you and kind of a flash, and then it's like, oh man, can't believe that's over kind of thing?
I've learned to live every moment as much as I can, because I've said in songs before that every great moment, it's going to be gone. So you got to live it, and you got to love it, and you got to treat it as well as you can. Because, I mean, as good as it feels to be on stage, I was talking with another artist about last night, actually. As great as it feels to be on stage, stuff like that. There's going to be another night, could be a week, could be a year, could be 10 years. There's going to be another day where you're not going to have that. And it's unfortunate, but, you got to realize that you got to live everything you can at the same time, because it's going to be gone.
Absolutely.
And you got to enjoy it.
Absolutely. I mean, wise beyond your years.
Yeah.
Must have a pretty good dad that's taught you pretty well.
He's been a hope.
Dad's actually in studio right now. You can't see him. He's over here off the camera, but
he's a driver. They didn't let a 15-year-old drive yet, so
see, now
if you
lived in Nebraska, that would be possible.
Right?
Because in Nebraska, you have these things called farm permits.
Yep.
And you can drive to and from. The process of anything to do with the farm, to and from school, and to and from work. But it doesn't specify the work has to be in the state of Nebraska. So, although I don't know if Dad wants a 15-year-old driving to gigs.
Looks like we are legally moving to Nebraska, guys. We're moving this thing to Nebraska. Sounds like
you had like you said, you had a name change. At least on paper, it's still the same name, but you added went from just Ty Smith to Ty Smith and the Minor Offenses. And your last single, Wonderland, did really well on multiple charts, right? And you just released a new single. Go ahead and tell me about that.
So we put out the single under the new name, and we sent it out to a bunch of people, and we had a really hard time figuring out what we wanted to use as a single. We'd never dropped an album. It's our first ever album.
Sure.
Which at 15 is insane to me that we were able to do something that high caliber of level. And we were confused on what we wanted to do with it. We didn't know what single to put out. We didn't know music video wise what we were going to shoot. And it was a big part of it. Words I Should Have Said is the one we went with, and it's personally my favorite off the album. Right at the moment, it's been changing a lot lately because I've been listening to it a lot. But Words I Should Have Said is about some guy that can't get nothing right. And it's about, I feel like we've all been there at some point or another, feel like nothing's gone our way, we've been trying to pour our heart into something that just doesn't work. And unfortunately, that's what I wrote the song about. And it's been resonating with people so far, and everybody's heard it. It's been like, yeah, I feel that. So I feel like it's been a great single to push so far off our album.
Yeah, no, it's a great song. And tell me about the production on it, and where'd you record that at?
Yeah.
Tell me about all that.
So we went to Nashville, Tennessee. Dave Smith is our producer. He was a guitar player for Toby Keith.
Yep.
Before Toby passed away, he's playing lead guitar for Lee Greenwood, and he's absolutely incredible with what he's done so far. We had friends in Tulsa that worked with him, and that's how we heard about him actually. And he has our business for a while.
Yeah. What studio did you end up going to in Nashville?
He has his own studio. It's called Music City Tracks.
Okay.
And he does everything you heard on the album except for the fiddle and the steel guitar. It's all Dave Smith.
Wow.
So
okay.
he absolutely killed it. Yeah.
So there's and a lot of people I don't think realize this. There is a bit of a difference between
you're bringing your band and
some of some of the Texas studios and Nashville studios. There's a bit of a difference.
There's
what was that experience like? Was it different than what you expected, or?
So we actually we got lucky because we used one guy in Tulsa. We weren't, it was a cheap single. It was at the time it was what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found Dave.
Yeah.
And so we haven't had to go anywhere else and try anything new. In the next few years, I couldn't say we wouldn't want to try something new. Just because for everybody, it's great to try some new stuff all the time.
Sure.
But as of now, Dave has all our business, man. It's a lot of the Texas ones, you're going to find bands bringing their whole band in, micing them up, and, a lot of studios are that way, absolutely. But Dave he's just got a little studio, man. It's just not much bigger than the room we're in right here, actually. And I was very amazed to find the product he put out. Just that little studio in his garage, man.
It's kind of cool to when somebody has that gift of recording and mixing.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see what they're able to do with things, and you're like, I don't know how you're going to do that. You know what I mean? I do a lot of mixing and mastering, and I wouldn't say I have that gift. I have a talent for making things sound good. I don't know if I have that creative side to really take things to the next level, and that's okay with me.
And Dave's in a tougher boat because everything we throw at him is acoustic.
Yeah.
So he has to write all the parts. He has to figure out the solos, and he has to go through and do everything because we don't have a full band for him to reference. What was that? Sorry.
Do you help him with that at all?
I don't actually. He figures all that out on his own. He sends it to me. He's like, "Hey, do you like this?" And I've never told Dave no.
Never told him no?
I've never told him no.
You should try it one time to see what happens.
I mean, that's actually a great idea. We'll see what Dave thinks.
It's like, no, I don't like that at all. Can we try again? Just
scrap it.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you can.
After a whole day in the studio, he's like, no, we need to try something else.
Don't tell him I told you to do that. No. It's I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of different studios and getting a lot of different stems sent to me, from different studios, and it's, there's an art to capturing audio for sure, and there's an art to recording audio for sure, but what I find really makes the difference in studios is an engineer or a person in the studio that knows how to work with people.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
And knows how to draw the best out of people, you know what I mean, and knows how to work with them. And unfortunately, and I don't know if you fall in this boat or not, a lot of musicians have delicate sensibilities. They're emotional and sensitive, and
that's a tough part. I mean, you ask any band, they will tell you they load into a venue, the sound guy is not easy to work with.
Yeah.
And there's, unfortunately, a lot of the sound guys out there just aren't, they're going to do it their way. If you have any suggestions, going out the window.
Yeah.
You ask something, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just a lot of the sound guys. That's why people travel with their own now, because it got to a point.
And there's a mixture of that too. And I think you might eventually get to that place in having your own board.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, in the back, and then you just connect into them, and then that kind of takes a lot of pressure off them.
Yeah.
They just have to worry about levels.
Well, that's the thing is we're
Um,
running a stage snake, so we just throw our snake on the stage. We run in-ears.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes our feedback easy. Sound checks are easier. Throw our snake on stage, everybody plugs in. We give them our manager gives them the hand-in sheet.
Yep.
We're done. We have a 30-minute, load-in sound check, and we're off the stage, which is, the point to where everybody has to get to if you're going to be a professional musician.
Absolutely.
You know?
So tell me a little bit about your writing style.
That's a great
what I
question.
mean. What I mean by that is I have every person that has sat in that chair. I have asked them
There's a different
their
answer every
method,
time.
their method on writing songs, and I've determined there is not a method to writing
There's
songs. But tell me about your method.
My method is, you know how to make pasta? You know how to tell if it's cooked? Throw it at a wall, right? That's pretty much what I do. I find a chord progression I like. I start throwing pasta at the wall. If I like what I'm saying, I start just saying random stuff. If I don't know.
I got you. So you start with guitar. You
I
think?
start with the guitar. I find a melody I like, and I just start singing, and it comes out. I start writing. I'll start. Sometimes it'll come easy. Sometimes, like on words I should have said, I couldn't stop writing.
Sure.
There's some songs that once you start it, it starts flowing out.
Yeah.
There's some that will take you a year to write and finish.
Absolutely.
But it's I've been lucky enough to figure out my own way early so I can get on the process quicker.
Sure. Do you find yourself writing with intent at all? Like
Never.
you get like an idea in your head and you want to try to write around it?
That's actually something I was talking about last night. I was doing a co-write with somebody.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m, and they're like, "What do you want to write about?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
So basically, we were halfway through the song. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Sure.
I think it's a fun way for me to keep it interesting, and if I know what I'm writing about, I feel like I compare it to other people that write about the same thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually I have the same song as somebody else. And so what I like to do is keep going, and eventually I have a story. If I need to change something, make it make sense, I do. And that's just the way I do it.
I got you. And it'll be interesting to see as you grow older if that changes at all. And I think it always changes as you mature in yourself and mature in music and, grow as a person and go through, different struggles and joys and things like that. It'll be interesting to see. One of the things I heard the other day from another artist, and I'm not saying that you need to do this by any means, but something that I thought was interesting was that he kind of broke it down to where you can always write songs for yourself.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about what other people think about songs.
Absolutely.
And then you can write songs for other people, and you might end up hating the song. You know what I mean?
But that one you hate.
But finding the balance that is commercial and marketable,
it's tough.
and you like, that's a tough thing.
And the best part is every song that you're gonna write for somebody else that you hate, it's gonna be the biggest song you ever write.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's the worst part about it. Absolutely. It's happened so many times. Even bands that write songs just mess around on accident. They'll be like, "Man, this is a dumb song," or they won't even pitch it. You hear the stories like, "I wasn't even gonna pitch it to the band,
Yeah.
because I thought it was dumb," and then it's the one that everybody knows. American Aquarium. I hope he breaks your heart. He wrote that during a show in between breaks, because he saw his ex in the crowd. Ringling Road, William Clark Green. He hated that song at first. He thought it was dumb. He's like, nobody's gonna like this. He played it. It's one of their biggest ones now, man. It's just weird the way it works.
Yeah, and then on the flip side though, you got and nothing against this artist, but I had an interview with Bart Crow a while back, and it's tough to see artists that you're like, I don't get it. We poured our heart and soul into this album, and nobody's listening to it. You know what I mean? And it's tough. You know what I mean?
It's hard to get people to listen to new things once they find something they like.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that problem yet because we haven't put out a lot of stuff. Right. Once you put out 3 or 4 albums, it gets tougher, man. People don't quite understand what artists have to go through because I use Will as an example because he's a great guy, a musician. I've looked up to him a long time, great friend. But Will, on this new album, Baker Hotel, changed a lot of things up. something that his fans have never heard before.
Yep.
Baker Hotel is a funky song. It's a weird chord progression. It's a weird tempo. It's a weird everything about the song.
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird, and his fans have adapted to it great, and he nailed it with it. But you compare the album to Rose Queen or something. And
That's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing.
There's nothing. I mean, there's no way you would ever think the guy that sang Rose Queen is singing Baker Hotel.
Yeah, but I think he balanced it well.
He does, absolutely.
And I think he did a really good job at telling that story of Baker Hotel and the album through that 4-part video series that he put out, because that was highly watched. You know what I mean? And I think that's what brought a lot of Texas radio around to playing some of that. But I think there's also a whole movement within Texas radio that's looking for other audiences. And so, and it's a pattern I have seen, and I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. You might see it on some of your album, some of the songs on your album, but a lot of times the songs that perform really well on radio don't perform well on streaming, and the vice versa. If they're performing really well on streaming, sometimes they don't perform all that well on radio, and it just, because I think you have two different audiences there. You know what I mean? And I think Will I think in a lot of ways YouTube is that middle road, and I think he kind of balanced the two by doing that.
Everybody has YouTube.
Yeah.
Not everybody listens to radio. Not everybody listens to Spotify.
Exactly.
Everybody has YouTube.
Isn't that crazy?
I think it's an underused tool as of now. There's a lot of people that, with all the streaming platforms, you have Apple, you have so many things to listen to music on. Why would I throw YouTube on, compared to all those? It's just, it doesn't seem normal. And then they realize, 5 or 6 years ago, if I want to listen to this song, I'd have to go, listen to it and find it and stuff. But now it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's changed.
Tell me about some of the amazing venues you've played, because there's got to be a couple that you're like, I can't believe I actually got to play here. Or somebody that you got to play with that was just like, I can't believe I actually got to play with this person.
Yeah, there's a couple. I got to go on stage at Billy Bob's and sing a song. I was with a group of people.
Sure.
But I got to go on stage at Billy Bob's, and it was during a Charlie Robinson tribute.
Okay.
And we sang My Hometown. It was a great song.
Awesome.
Great night of music. And there's a whole lot of places I've played that it's a great show, great stage, great everywhere. It was just a weird show.
Yeah.
At some places, but we just went to Wisconsin and played a great show there, and we played a place. Man, where was it at? Oh man, I'm not gonna be able to remember it now. Gordy's Highway 30 Fest. That was a great stage. It was great to be a part of that.
Is there anything on your bucket list that you just like in Texas or in Oklahoma that you're like, man, I'm going to play there in the next 2 years or 3 years or something like that?
Oh, I got to play Tumbleweed in Stillwater, Oklahoma, which was a big place for me. It was very cool. But I love to play Kane's Ballroom. I love to play Green Hall eventually. I'd love to get to, obviously, I'd love to get to Billy Bob's, but that's another step,
Well, they got their, and I think it's more possible now for a lot of artists than it was in the past.
Yeah.
Because they opened up that Thursday night, what they're kind of calling like a development night or something like that. I don't know. And it's not publicly called a development night, but it's, that's kind of what the purpose
behind
is.
Behind the scenes,
it's meant to develop new talent and invite new talent to play. I don't know if it's main stage. Sometimes it's a honky tonk stage, but it's not set up like the honky tonk band.
You don't see that on the resume though.
No,
it doesn't go on the resume. You get to say you played Billy Bob's. You don't play.
And a lot of even on Friday, Saturday night, a lot of the what stage you play on is dictated by pre-sale.
Yeah.
Because you look at Ken Fo that played there. They played a Saturday night or Friday night, whatever. Their ticket, they sold out the place for what they could sell it out. But a lot of that was day of ticket sales.
Yeah.
If they would have had higher pre-sale, they could have got the main stage. It's just the pre-sale versus day of sale were
I've wondered about that because I've seen a bunch of bands on tour there.
If you don't have a big pre-sale, more than likely they're going to kick you to the honky tonk stage. If you got a big pre-sale, they'll open you up to the main stage. It has nothing to do with this band isn't good enough to play this stage. The goal is when they post things on social media, they want to see a full venue. You know what I mean? And so if that means they got to take a spot for 1,000 people away, you know what I mean, to make it look full, that's what Billy Bob's is going to do. And Robert Gallagher over there has done a really good job at talent buying and doing the things that he's doing over there. So I would definitely, if you haven't met Robert yet, I would definitely get in touch with him and
I've
see about
crossed
playing on
paths with
Thursday.
him. Yeah, we've crossed paths a couple times.
Because I think it's possible, and I think you got enough of a fan base to do a pre-sale on
Go there,
Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, tell me where people can find your all your information. Where can they buy your merch? Where can they buy your CD? All that stuff.
You guys can go into our online store. If we haven't played a town near you and you're looking to get vinyls or shirts or hats or stickers, Ty Smith and the MinorOffenses.com. We have a merch store. You go in, we have tour dates on there. We have merch store. We have our sponsors on there. We have everything on there you guys need to know. New music drops. Our album is out on all streaming platforms under Ty Smith and the Minor Offenses. Big transition, so I hope everybody's enjoyed it so far.
It's
Got a couple chuckles.
Well, I mean, there was that little bit of a confusion on my part.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
connecting the Ty Smith and the Minor Offenses, and that was my fault for not.
we get it.
Not knowing better.
No, we completely get it. I mean, look at Silverado right now, man. They're still getting Mike and the Moon Pie stuff.
Well, yeah, and that's gonna be a I think with them especially, that's gonna be a tough.
It was tough one because they had such a big fan base, and they had never dropped stuff. They'd already dropped so many albums under that, and so it's but yeah, we love Mike over there. It's great, great
and
people.
It's funny because actually one of the first people I had on the Tiny Office session, Kyle Garrett, they have a podcast, Texas Toast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been on there a couple times.
That's funny because he calls him Mike Moonpie.
Yeah,
I got a podcast with Mike Moonpie, so that's kind of his name. But so Ty Smith and the MinorOffenses.com, and you're doing vinyls.
We are.
That's awesome, man.
They're doing
a lot
vinyls.
of artists doing
They're
vinyls.
coming back.
Yeah.
They're making a comeback.
Who designs your stickers?
We have a guy out of Tulsa that's been doing all of our designs. He did our logo. It's actually on his hat right there. You can't see it on camera.
Okay.
But he does all of our logo stuff, and he's been absolutely killing it. He's done every design you've seen so far. He's been knocking it out of the park.
Cool. Well, that's going to kind of do it for this episode of the OTMC podcast. Ty, thanks so much for being here. You're going to stick around, I think, play a couple songs for us for the Tiny Office sessions. So, don't know what he's going to play yet, but we'll figure that out when we get there. But be sure to check us out on the next episode, and we love you. Be safe. God bless. We'll talk soon.